Hello viewers, I'm back, and this time it's with something that's a little bit unexpected. My last video, of course, I reviewed the reformulated version of Bel Ami from Jean-Claude Ellena and the House of Hermes. He reformulated the old vintage style, which has received clearly a bit more hate than love, but nevertheless it is still, in my opinion, a good fragrance. I have not smelled the vintage version, but that's beside the point. It's still a very well done fragrance, and I still wear it fairly often, and will continue to over the next few years. So there's a winner in my book. Now, I just want to kind of jump right into this one. A few months ago, I ordered two decants of some oud-based fragrances. I have been watching, sorry about that, I've been watching and reading quite a bit about different oud fragrances and, you know, the effect that they have and exactly the difference between authentic oud and more dressed up, less pronounced ouds. And there seems to be a very popular mix between a rose oud combo. There seems to be some woody oud combos as well. I haven't really been able to venture out a whole lot into the different ouds. I have been able to venture into a few different rose-based fragrances, Cafe Rose being one of them, and there's a few others that I've sampled that I just can't think at the top of my head, but was pleasantly surprised, actually, especially by Cafe Rose. But I've sampled two other by Kilian fragrances, one of them being Straight to Heaven and the other being Love, Don't Be Shy. Now, Straight to Heaven was very strange for me at first. I did not understand that fragrance whatsoever. Some people say they smell this piney, just a very evergreen almost type of fragrance. Then what I smelled was absolutely nothing like that. It smelled like liquor, like straight alcohol liquor, and a very sweet, almost honey-like woodsiness. And it was just a combination of those two, very sweet, honeyed-up, alcohol-type woods. And it actually grew on me after a while, but that is so strong that it can actually be headache-inducing if I apply too much. Still a good fragrance overall. However, learning about the few ouds that I have learned about, I have been extremely interested in Creed's Royal Oud. And so naturally, when I saw a decant of that available, I jumped on it. But with that, I also received from a Facebook fragrance friend, in addition to the Creed Royal Oud decant, I also got something called Eternal Oud by Kilian. And don't really have a whole lot of it left. I honestly did not realize how expensive this stuff was if you buy it retail, which, as far as I'm aware, that's the only way you can buy it. But I was not ready for what this juice can do. I was just not ready, and that is a good thing. When I smelled Creed's Royal Oud, I already knew that I would not get an authentic oud type of fragrance out of it. In fact, what I believe happens in Royal Oud is that they dress up the oud in such a way that you can't smell it, so it's still very pleasant and very wearable. But because oud, from everything that I've read, has such potency and power to stay around, that it's not necessarily meant to smell like oud, rather it's meant to have the longevity of natural oud oils. So you get that great fragrance that sticks around for hours and hours on end. And that can lend a lot of credibility to its price tag. You don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a fragrance that's going to, dissipate in 4 hours. And Royal Oud hangs on, and it smells just, if I could get a full bottle, I would. So, and lately that's been pretty hard for me to justify. Eternal Oud is by far, though, the most expensive fragrance I would ever consider buying a full bottle of. 1.7 ounces of this juice is $475 now. I wish I would have known about it sooner because it was cheaper at one point. That is no longer the case. However, I'm probably going to end up buying a bottle of this. It might take me a year, but I will have some. Now, I will say this. The first time I sprayed it on my wrist was at nighttime, and I didn't know what the hell I was smelling. I sprayed it on and it smelled almost like burning rubber and rose. I could clearly smell rose. And the only other thing that I could smell was burning rubber and this medicinal type of note, I guess. It smelled like medicine, like a very, very strong, astringent medicine with rubber and rose. And it wasn't off-putting, though. It wasn't like, oh, this stinks, you know. It was wearable. And what was even more intriguing to me was wearing it. It was kind of like, it was so strong that you would assume that it would be headache-inducing, but it was completely natural. So there was nothing headache-inducing about it. And I was extremely surprised by that. I remember spraying literally one spray on my wrist, and I could smell it all throughout the night. And went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and it was still on my wrist. So I knew this was some potent stuff. I knew that it was high concentration, so on and so forth. And I was pleased. I wasn't pleased to the point where I'm like, I'm going to wear this today. In fact, I've had this fragrance now for probably 3 or 4 months. And up until yesterday, today being February 12th, for the first time yesterday, February 11th, 2015, I wore this to work. I woke up, took a quick shower, had a quick shave, just applied a little bit of aftershave lotion instead of the normal aftershave alcohol and all that BS. I put on the lotion to kind of help with my longevity on my fragrance. I do that anyway. And I applied 3 very gentle sprays. 2 of them were full-on sprays here, and then I went on the back of my neck, and it wasn't even a spray. It was like I pushed it so gently that it just dribbled out onto the back of my neck. It wasn't even like a, you know. So I was very light on the trigger. Now, I get in the car. I got a ride to work yesterday, and the person giving me the ride to work was like, that stuff is strong. And I said, well, yeah, you know, most of my colognes, when I first put them on, they're always very strong. That's just the nature of the cologne I wear. And I said, does it smell bad? And she said, no, it doesn't smell bad. It's just very, very strong, and it's not something that I think I would wear. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine, fair enough. And I said, well, you know, I'm not that off-put anyway, just because I'm not going to have a colleague at work with me in my department until about 1 p.m., and I went to work at 9:30 in the morning. So there was plenty of time for the fragrance to settle down, and it did. But it never settled down to the point where I couldn't smell it, and I really, really enjoyed that. Throughout the entire day, the stuff is almost like medicine to me. I'm a part of the My Maker's Fragrance community page on Facebook, and I had made a post about, yesterday, in the middle of work, I just couldn't help myself. I made a post about how it was the closest thing to aromatherapy that I've probably ever smelled. It's shocking how strong this cologne is, this fragrance rather. It's shocking how strong it is, yet how unoffensive it is to my nose. This might be the perfect fragrance for me. I've said that about Aventus. I've said that about Original Vetiver. You know, this is one of those fragrances that if I had to have one bottle and never could have any other bottle of fragrance, Eternal Oud would probably be my only bottle if I could never have any other. I would pass up even the brand new fragrances that I just received yesterday. Yesterday I received Selection Vert and Jardin d'Amalfi from Creed. And I even received a brand new 30ml decant of Aventus because I love that cologne so much. It's so easy to wear. But Eternal Oud, I'm blown away. This video is getting a little long already. I can't believe it's been 10 minutes, but I'll make it quick in saying this. It starts out very rosy and very oudy. It's very clear that the oud in this is real and very highly concentrated. It smells very rosy and very oudy at first, but then, and you know, it actually stays pretty linear on me, but the fragrance never dies. The whole day, I'm talking 12 hours, I could smell it. I came home and laid down. I came home and played on my PC for a little while and all that BS, but then I laid down and go to sleep. Wake up the next morning, which is this morning, and I went upstairs to make some coffee, okay? And when I stopped, the air passed over me, of course, and I could smell pepper and oud and rose. And I knew that it was the Eternal Oud. Because, you can't mistake the smell. This cologne lasted over 24 hours. With three gentle sprays over 24 hours, and it was the major dry down in the morning. This pepper, rosy, oudy scent, holy crap! Okay, and I'm sure the pepperiness, the spiciness comes from saffron, which is in this. I can't get enough of this stuff. I am actually having to keep myself from spraying it on today, because if after my experience yesterday, I would wear this bottle out. I would wear this decant out easy, and I don't want to do that. I will end up wearing this out soon because it's cold winter months. I could see this working actually in spring and summer as well, because it is quite airy, and the projection on it wasn't fantastic, which is strange to me. I remember I was speaking one-on-one with my boss, and he was actually pretty close quarters, and I asked him, I told him I was wearing a very exotic fragrance, and he's like, well, I can't smell it, and if I can, it's not offensive. So, there you go. But what's fantastic about it is that I could smell it all day. I was completely satisfied. I am sold on this stuff. This might be the fastest I've ever been sold on any fragrance I've ever worn. I'm sold on this faster than Terre d'Hermes or Eau d'Orange Vert. Sold on it faster than, Aventus I wasn't even sold on until about day 2 or 3. But yeah, Eternal Oud by Kilian, if you haven't tried it, get yourself a decant. Even if it's a tiny one, you need to try this stuff if you're interested in oud fragrances. It is out of this world. Longevity, probably the best I've ever had in longevity. Just because it takes such a little amount. And on my skin, like I say, it dries down into this peppery, rosy, oudy fragrance, and I could not ask for more. I had no idea I would enjoy it this much. I'm tempted to not spend the $475 on Eternal Oud and instead spend the money on Musk Oud, because I've heard it's very similar. And if it is, I know I'll be happy with that. So we'll find out one way or another. Anyway, this has been my short sort of review of Eternal Oud. It's probably not very professional, and I apologize for that. However, this stuff is ridiculous. It's so good. This has that wow factor for me. Very much so. So, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, opinions, what have you, feel free. And look forward to making another video here soon. Take care.